House prices dropped 2.5% in October. The Kiwi Stock Exchange, a 20% holder in the SA Bond Exchange, says the JSE's offer is way too low. Rio Tinto's Tom Albanese says China's slowdown is quickening. And Tiger Brands hires the gent who fingered them for price fixing. The all share up 0.75% to 21,135, the fifth positive day in a row. Gold at $727 a fine ounce, and a barrel of Brent at $61. The rand currently at R9.85 to the dollar, 15.67 to the pound, and 12.57 to the euro.
Predicting currencies is near impossible. Protecting yourself is easy. A volatile currency is a scary, often costly proposition. You need protection against extreme movements, and it's possible with the JSE's currency futures and options. If you're exporting or importing, or doing both, you'll find currency futures and options an indispensable, affordable hedge against volatility. The process is quick, easy, and cost-effective. Visit www.yieldex.co.za. And this feature was brought to you by the JSE's YieldX. Protect yourself against our volatile currency with the JSE's currency futures and options. To learn more, visit www.yieldex.co.za. Come on now. Yeah, yeah. Mr. Shapiro in the studio on a day when it's nice to see sunshine back, isn't it?
Yes.
After his leave, big smile on his face.
Well, Jeff was very stressed last week.
Yeah, right. Sunshine certainly wasn't. Anyway, Mr. Motlebani is back behind the controls, and Mr. Shapiro is here on a day where we had a slight improvement on the JSE.
Well, we ended up 0.7%. There seemed to be a kicker towards the end of the market. But, Alec, that's 5 days in a row we're up. We've recovered somewhere around about 3,000 points. So I think, and at the beginning of last week, the market was looking pretty dismal. But 15% up odd, or about 12% up from last week. It's okay.
Still 30%
running out
down.
of momentum, though, I think. Running out of a bit of momentum now. We need to feed on good news.
Are you seeing big buying orders coming from particularly overseas? Because that's where the action's going to be.
I haven't seen it, but I would imagine that they're picking up cheap commodity shares. Commodity shares have been in favor. We've seen Anglos pick up, Billiton pick up, Kumba, Sasol. All of those are picked up off their very low basis. Again, we need to feed on the news. We need follow through. What could give us a bit of a boost? I think the election could give us a boost. I think someone like Obama coming in, I think will give a bit of a hope, and you'll get that bit of a surge for markets
to the American stock market, and then
but it'll follow through.
Yeah.
There'll seem to be a much better mood in the markets. I don't know why that should happen. I suppose that it'll give the Americans a bit of hope to reestablish their names in other countries. And
economic news though is not great.
No, shocking.
Investec Purchasing Managers Index, which is a leading indicator, was down again in October. Perhaps the biggest concern there is that the inventory levels are now below 50%. So people are destocking,
right? And
that was the cause of the 29 depression. In fact, destocking.
I think that's why rates will come down or should come down. We're expecting quite a few rates to come down. Globally, Australia.
David, it's 1% in America. How much further can it go?
Well, not there, but in Europe. We're expecting quite dramatic.
South African interest rates.
I would hope so. It's unlikely to happen because of the rand, because of the weaker rand. But I think that that number is a worry, because it's not, Alec. Not only is demand internally slackening off, but from our export side also slackening off as well. So for a manufacturing sector, it's quite a worry that we see the index at these low levels. What's at 46? That's contracting. Anything below 50.
It's contracting, but then inventories coming down from 56 to 49.
It's 6 months in a row now.
A bigger concern. There are some shares that are shining, though. Altec was up 11 Rand, call that 23%. I
think they've come from such a low base that bargain hunters are coming.
You don't think it had anything to do with the court dismissing Ivy Motsepe Kasaburi's appeal against... So she wasn't even allowed to appeal. It was kicked out of court, and she had to pay the costs.
So, at least it's going to be good news for the whole telecom sector.
Bit of a defeat there. Super Group up a little, 17%.
17%, but it's again off very low base.
Very low base. And Africa Rainbow Minerals also off a low base, 11%. Patrice Motsepe can maybe get new players for the Sundown soccer team.
But it's
Super
not
Sport.
Sundown. I mean Sundown. It's catching up. I think African Rainbow Minerals had been hammered, when it announced that it was cutting back on certain production in the ferrochrome industry, and I think now we're starting to, see some catch up there, catching up with Anglo.
Purple Capital edged up to above its
right issue price,
31 cents today. Right issues are at 30. But maybe a really interesting one, David, is Grindrod. Today up 6%. Grindrod maintains, and we spoke with the CEO, Alan Olivier, last week. Jeff Candy did. Grindrod maintains that they've got contracts going for the next couple of years, so they're fine. But if you've looked at that Baltic Bulk Index, it's fallen through the floor.
Yeah.
That the world trade just seems to have seized up. Now, if that's the case, and these ships are not trading, well, maybe the people who've leased the ships from Grindrod might not be around in the not-too-distant future.
No,
although Grindrod can have the contract, if the other guys go bust, it isn't going to help them much.
There's quite a bit of news on that, also ships being turned away that are carriers. But I think Grindrod's got a certain amount of it is fixed. Some of it is on the spot market as well. I think they changed the mix. I can't remember it.
Well,
and
they don't want too much on the spot market right now.
No, but they had been increasing that because as the rates went up. But they're well protected, they're well run. But I agree with you. It's something you've got to watch.
That's what I'm questioning whether they are that well protected. It looks like it in theory, but when people start going bust around you, it doesn't help how protected you are with your contracts. And I think maybe some amateur investors, some private investors are just taking everything on face value. My only concern would be go and look at that Baltic Index, and it isn't good.
I think you've got to look at the whole commodity complex, because even though you might have contract prices, and this is a big worry, sometimes people break that and start dealing on the spot market, and it's very difficult to impose those contracts. And I think this is one of the worries in the iron ore market at the moment.
Did you see Vale from Brazil was trying...
With China,
was not able to bump up its iron ore prices, which everybody else had been able to. So there's interesting developments there, but no doubt with the savvy, the volatility index still over 50%. Very nervous still at the moment on the share.
Well, that just shows how much volatility there is in the market. And it's great to have 5 days, but I think it's just a bit too early to really go full tongs for this market.